The views and opinions expressed on Unlock Your Wealth Radio are those of the host, guests, and callers only, and not necessarily the views of Unlock Your Wealth Radio, Heather Wagenhals, or Success Publishing International.
More willpower than a barefoot woman at a shoe sale. Able to stretch a single paycheck for an entire month. Makes money concepts easier than third grade math. Introducing your purveyor of prosperity, Heather Wagenhals.
Work all day, stress all night. Take your mind off your money, focus on your life. Money don't matter or the stuff it bought. It's the way you think, not what you've got, yeah.
Unlock Your Wealth Radio starts now.
Get your money mind right.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm glad you're here with me. In addition, bringing you this fabulous content today, I will be joined by my illustrious producer and country music sensation, Jeremy Shane Murphy.
Good morning.
You know, I'm going to be starting singing lessons soon, so...
Oh, heaven save us.
What? That should be a good thing. Then when I sing to you, you won't have to like cringe because I won't be off key.
Well, let's say some prayers.
Do you doubt Mustafa?
No, I'm Mustafa, and I don't doubt myself.
You're Murph-Stafa. I'm Moo-Stafa.
Mustafa.
Yeah, just like that. Like the moolah word of the day, which we have a fabulous one, by the way. Well, it's actually not so fabulous because it's another way to say evil. So that's today's moolah word of the day. Not evil, but the word is. This is my tease to make you want to stay listening. Our key is forget the perfection principle, okay? So, like, we need to learn how to say sorry to ourselves and let go. And we're going to learn how to do that today. Also, our trivia question is based on last week's show, which was Remember Real Estate. And we have an incredible guest, an estate planning attorney, Mark Powell. And our Minutes on Your Money will be about Tony Soprano's quirky legacy. So if anybody was a fan of that show and you know that Mr. Gandolfini is up with the Angels now.
No longer with us.
Up with the Angels, but his legacy is kind of cuckoo, and so we thought we would talk about that, being that this is an estate planning episode with our guest. So I thought you guys might like that. As always, we will talk about your money, your credit, and how to get ahead in any economy. We will also show you how to manage your money easier, saving time and reducing stress using these proven techniques to create unlimited wealth and happiness, which puts us into one of our ways that you can increase your wealth and happiness by winning fabulous prizes. And we do that with our trivia question.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at you like you're going to say something, but maybe not. And then,
I did. I said, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where's the pocket audience? We haven't had them in a while.
We got to get him excited.
That's not my job. That's your job. They're your friends. You need to get them excited. Especially because this trivia question should be a cool one to answer if you were paying attention. Regular listeners have an edge up on the competition because we always base our trivia question on a previous show. Insiders Club members don't have any competition. Well, at least they don't have to be competitive. This is the lazy way to win by being an Insiders Club member because you are automatically entered in our weekly giveaways. But if you are not a member and would still like to compete for great money management tools, all you have to do is answer our trivia question. This week's trivia question is from last week's key, Remember Real Estate. All you have to do is name 2 of the 4 layers of risk. Name 2 of the 4 layers of risk. They are also known as the 4 C's, if that will help jog your memory. So if you're thinking you have the potentially right answer, you may call in, chat in, or email in to win. That phone number is 1-866-966-9420. That's 866-966-9420. You can hop in the chat room if you're listening live. And as always, for those of you downloading and listening on podcast, you too can still play to win. It is not a requisite that you be a live show listener. All you have to do is send an email with your potential right answer to trivia@uywradio.com. That's trivia@uywradio.com. Good luck.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Murphy, I
Yes.
understand that you have some interesting info on Tony Soprano.
Mr. James Gandolfini,
That would be the guy.
the guy. He was kind of a bad dude. No, I mean, good bad. Like, I wanted to say badass, but I don't want to say the word ass on the radio.
Oh, because I didn't say it last week.
Obviously, he was
I
only
thought you meant
50
that's a donkey. Wait a minute.
biblically speaking, but he wasn't that kind of an ass.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he was 51 years old, and as we know, he died recently, fairly recently, a
And
few
suddenly.
weeks ago. Just died of a heart attack. I believe he was out of the country, too. I think he was in Italy, if I remember right. Maybe. I might be
I
wrong.
don't remember.
Doesn't matter.
Particulars.
Point is, he's no longer with us. The weird part about his estate was that he appears from the outside to not have planned very well. Now, that's what's quirky about it, is because maybe he did, or maybe he didn't. We don't really know. The first thing that they noticed is that a lot of famous people put their things in some sort of a trust where it doesn't really become public knowledge when they die.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, his will was able to be found.
Like not non-trustable?
Yeah, kind of like weird. Like it was just there and people found it and suddenly asked questions. They estimate, they don't know for sure, but they estimate he was worth about $70 million. But because of the way it was set up, by the time everything is said and done, there's a good chance that the tax liability on that, the taxes are going to be about $30 million. That's nearly half.
Well, yeah, they get you coming and going.
I mean, so had he planned differently and done things in a little different way, there would have been significantly less taxes due, or whatever. He also had, from what I understand, this is just what I understand, he had a couple of children. He had a 13-year-old son and a daughter that was an infant. And his 13-year-old son didn't really have anything left to him, but Mr. Gandolfini did have an insurance policy for $7 million. So
Okay.
now the kid gets $7 million. He also gets a first right to refusal on an apartment and a parking space in Manhattan.
What every 13-year-old needs.
Yeah, the problem is number one, it's first right to refusal on it, so he has to purchase it. It's worth about $3.5 million. He only gets $7 million, so half his money instantly, if he choose to get that, is gone.
Yeah, but that's not a decision that he can make anyway because
Right.
he's a minor. He
He's
can't
13.
enter. Yeah, he can't enter into a legal arrangement.
And how does he maintain whatever it is he has to maintain? I mean, he's a kid. So, or he's a teenager technically now, but he's not really old enough to understand. And definitely his infant child is not old enough to really understand what's going on. She gets her money when she turns 21.
So that was set up right, but the first kid wasn't set up right.
Right. So that's just kind of one of those quirky things that we're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Overall, basically, he put a lot of focus onto the trustees and the guardians and stuff like that, but didn't seem to put a whole lot of focus on the actual stuff that he was leaving behind so much, and to the people it was going to, his current wife and that type of stuff. He also owns a house in Italy that he left to jointly between his son and his daughter. However, once again, to the best of my knowledge, from what I understand, is he did not consult with an Italian attorney when he did it. So that might be kind of weird too.
Well, yeah, ownership in Italy is a kooky thing. It is so hard to get property there because people pass things and they keep things in the family. It's still kind of a little fiefdom there.
Yeah.
So their real estate laws are totally different than
But this,
here.
then there's also the other, everybody's deliberating. They're like trying to figure this whole thing out. And the truth is, maybe he didn't plan on dying from a heart attack at 51. Maybe he could have stepped up a little bit more and did a little bit more planning, but there's also things that we don't know about what's going on, number one. And number two, he probably didn't plan on dying yet.
Well, it's unfortunate that his attorney was not comprehensive enough, but we are going to be able to look at estate planning from a different angle today with our guest, Mark Powell, who's going to be joining us. I'm pretty excited to have a nice conversation with him about estate planning. And as well, we have this week's key, Forget the Perfection Principle. Plus, always remember Jeremy Shane's Moolah Word of the Day. Coming up, you are listening to Unlock Your Wealth Radio. We'll be right back with more after this.
Commander Marty Logan here from the Top Gun Seminars. What I've learned over the years is that the most successful people in life have coaches to guide them along their chosen path. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Tony Stewart, Tom Hopkins, Kathy Colby all had coaches. Whether it was their father, someone else's father, or another person who helped them to shape their desires into an achievable path to success with a system of accountability where quitting was the only way to fail. Each of these people had someone who didn't see them as they first were, but as the person inside they knew they could easily become. Financial coaching can be the single addition you need to become financially independent. Call the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation now for your free consultation. 1-866-966-9420. That toll-free number again is 1-866-966-9420. Or visit us on the web at www.unlockyourwealth.com.
Like, has your cell phone or iPod ever totally run out of battery before? Maybe you're somewhere without power, like fishing, camping, or the beach. Now you can have all the power you need. The K3 Charger by Kinesis Industries uses wind and sun to charge your devices anytime, day or night. Use the wind and sun to store up charging power, or charge your device right on the spot. Available now for $99.95 at www.kinesisindustries.com. That's Kinesis, Kinesis, industries.com. Like, go there, totally!
Greenback is your neighborhood lender for auto title loans. We offer fast and easy cash title loans for cars, trucks, and motorcycles. Keep your car with title loans from $100 to $50,000. There are no year or mileage limits at Greenback, and we offer the cheapest rates in Arizona, guaranteed. For more information, visit greenbacktitleloans.com or call 480-926-6666.
Hey, I'm over here.
Hey, roll up the windows. I'm going to turn on the radio.
This stuff sucks. Change it.
Yeah, it does. There's got to be something decent on here somewhere.
You're listening to Jeremy Share, 102.5.
Love me.
Hey, how's that?
There you go. No, never mind. I don't like that one.
Baby, I couldn't care less what you think or say.
Jeez, is that the only guy on the radio? Who is that?
That's Jeremy Shane. He's everywhere nowadays.
Casting the very
Ooh,
first stone.
I like this one. Do you?
Feel your
Yeah,
eyes
leave it there.
upon me.
Watch for the Cobra Project by Jeremy Shane at jeremyshanemusic.com.
This is how it's gonna go. I'm leaving today. There's nothing you can do, and nothing left to say.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You're listening to Unlock Your Wealth Radio. I am she, your maven of moolah, and Mr. Jeremy Shane has your moolah word of the day.
This is my favorite word so far of all the words.
Well, I am detecting a high note of sarcasm.
Sarcasm.
Granted, I've only known you for a year now, so I'm not sure if I know the depth of your sarcasm, but I would assume That you're being sarcastic because I think this is another word just for evil, but
Well,
what do I know?
let's talk about this. Favorite word of the day, and I believe it's everybody else's, is tax. Yep, tax.
This is
And I know how I know everybody loves it.
why.
Because at least once a year, that's all anybody's ever talking about. They go out and they pay people to do it for them. Every paycheck, they're just racing out to pay money out of their paycheck to it. I mean, everybody must love it because every time they buy something, they're friggin' donating money to tax. So there's got to be something good about it.
Well, I must be a black sheep then.
Tax's definition, as read here from this piece of paper: a fee charged or levied by a government on a product, income, or activity. If tax is levied directly on personal or corporate income, then it is a direct tax. If tax is levied on the price of a good or service, then it is called an indirect tax. Past tense. The purpose of taxation is to finance government expenditure. One of the most important uses of taxes is to finance public goods and services, such as street lighting and street cleaning. Since public goods and services do not allow a non-payer to be excluded or allow exclusion by a consumer, there cannot be a market in the good or service. And so they need to be provided by the government or a quasi-government agency, which tend to finance themselves largely through taxes. So, what's funny is I'm thinking about it, the government has an entire agency called the Internal Revenue Service, which is going through every one of our histories every year and making sure that we're paying every dime that's owed to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do we have like a major agency like that goes to the government and accounts for their spending and reports it to the people and says, this is where the government's money is going?
Well, I think that there are individuals that attempt to hold the government accountable, but
Doesn't work out very well though, does it?
yeah, their idea of transparency is that we have to be transparent, but they can wear a cloaking device.
Now, I'm all about paying taxes for things that need to be paid for. Absolutely. However, there comes a point.
Yeah, I think it's your word that you invented last week about being math magical.
Yes.
I think taxes are math magical. I don't quite understand them. So, since there's an aura of mystery, I'm going to call taxes a math magical phenomenon. Well, thank you so much for that word. I'm thrilled to have it. And I'm thrilled to have our next guest on because he's going to give us some strategies to keep us from giving up too much of our moolah to taxes. And that's why estate planning is so vital for us. And it is the fifth in our financial 5 areas of concern we need to be paying attention to. Our guest is Mark Powell. He is founder and chief executive officer of Practical Plans. He's a partner in the law firm of Albrecht and Barney, one of Southern California's leading estate planning law firms. He is a certified specialist in estate planning, trust, and probate law by the State Bar of California. And he limits his practice only to trust and estate matters, with an emphasis on gift and estate tax planning, which I'm certain that Gandolfini's children are wishing their dad had. And he's an American Bar Association member, and he specializes in the organization's tax section. And he's an active participant in the Orange County Bar Association's trust and estates section. And he is also, as if he doesn't have a litany of other things, one of Worth Magazine's top 100 attorneys in the estate planning field.
As long as there's not like 101 attorneys in the estate planning field, then...
Well, if there were, he's not on that list. He's on the top 100. So I think that's enough street cred to be on the show.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, let's talk to him now, shall we?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm so glad to have an estate planning attorney on because one of our 5 areas of concern that we address is asset, preservation. And when we talk about asset preservation, we talk about reducing tax liability and also legacy planning. But what other areas are there in the estate planning realm?
Well, those two are very important. Reducing taxes is always on everyone's mind, but there are other reasons that we do trust and we set up estate plans the way that commonly get done now, including some creditor protection, some protection for beneficiaries from divorces and different creditor situations. So there are a couple of other reasons to do estate planning through trust.
You mentioned divorce, and with the way that family trees get merged with divorces and remarriages and half brothers and stepsisters and all of that good stuff. What are some of those concerns that folks should have when they think about estate planning and legacies?
Well, there are lots of technical reasons and to do a trust and to tax plan, but most of the times when I start to talk about clients and say that one of the other benefits that you get from doing trust in a particular way, the same way that gives you the tax benefits, is one of the other benefits is creditor protection and divorce protection. That's usually as far as we have to go. The tax benefits people want and they assume, but their eyes really kind of light up when you start to say that we can put this together in a way that any assets you leave to your children will go to your children and their children, but not to any future spouses or future ex-spouses. So it's an incredibly powerful tool that you can use through estate planning to make sure that when families merge and when people come and go from a family, the assets don't come and go too.
Yeah, that's a big challenge for folks is how do I ensure that my offspring and their offspring get what I want, but not any other vindictive, greedy former spouses and things like that.
Right. Yeah, some of the stories are really bad, but it's not that difficult to set it up, and it's usually an arrangement that children can live with once they understand the benefits that they get themselves from it, not having to, as you're getting married, think about doing prenuptial agreements or think about really keeping property separate. We can set things up in a way that a parent can go ahead and put that into place, and it makes it easier for the children, I think, in the long run, not to really have to do much to keep their inheritance as theirs.
And I think that for me, I think peace of mind, knowing that while we all hope for the best, when we're not emotionally engaged in the situation, like happy when we make prenups, that it's all sorted out. So you're not going to have any issues when it comes time to, like, maybe it's not forever. Maybe it was just for mostly forever.
Right, right, right. There's something very handy, I think, when a bad situation starts to develop and you realize that I don't have to fight this particular battle. We already took care of it up front with some good planning.
And I don't think people realize how emotions start driving the bus, and our behavior isn't rational or reasonable. It's just driven by this need to protect ourselves in those moments, and we can't think even if we wanted to.
No, the emotions take over and the process takes over, and you find yourself talking to your own attorney, who may be a very good attorney and someone you may like very much. But even that relationship gets strained through these kind of difficult processes. And knowing that we can take even that part of the emotion out, even when the best attorney-client relationships start to get strained, we've still got kind of a step back.
I really like that idea. Now, one of the things that, I've come to terms with is that my government is just going to continue to get bigger, which means that my tax liabilities are not going to get any smaller unless I actively work to change that. How big of a difference can just reducing tax liability alone add to an overall financial picture for just like personal retirement or, inheritance and legacy planning?
Well, the estate tax rate right now is set at 40%. It's been much higher than that. Even in recent years, it was up to 55%, and there was an additional 5% surcharge if your estate got too big. So those are pretty significant chunks of tax dollars that disappear. And if you end up in a situation where you've got to pay the IRS one of these estate tax bills, it's due 9 months from the date that the person died, and there really aren't any extensions for the time to start paying the tax. And sometimes that puts clients in a really bad situation where they have an awfully big tax bill, and there's no ready place to pay the tax from. So we don't have a big cash reserve, or we haven't planned properly for it with some life insurance or things like that. And all of a sudden you realize that you've got just a few months before you may have to write a check that's many hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even bigger. And the IRS is not a patient creditor. They don't wait for their money. They give you a deadline, and they will start to chase the assets down.
So can you liquidate the asset in order to pay those? I mean, that's the crummy thing, is like you want whatever it was because it meant something to the person that left it for you.
Exactly. Property is one of the big ones. Parents want to leave the family home to their kids. And if it's an expensive family home and there's some tax due just as a result of the house, they may end up having to sell the house just to pay the taxes. And that's sort of a double whammy. Not only do we still have the taxes, but now we've also lost the asset that we're particularly keen on moving down to kids. But even beyond that, you can have all sorts of assets. You could, if you pick the day that you were going to pass away, you could do great planning. But since we can't, we end up with the risk of a repeat of a financial market meltdown or a slump in the market, and we may have to liquidate or sell assets at a time when it really doesn't make any sense to do so from a value point of view, but we don't have choice because we've got a tax bill coming up.
Yeah, it's amazing how inflexible Uncle Sam can be, but yet we're supposed to be forthcoming and very flexible in the other direction.
Right. Yeah, it's a strained honor system, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. Well, I have a litany more questions to ask you about estate planning after the break. You are listening to Mark Powell on Unlock Your Wealth Radio, and we'll be right back coming up after this.
Hey, I'm over here.
Hey, roll up the windows. I'm going to turn on the radio.
This stuff sucks. Change it.
Yeah, it does. There's got to be something decent on here somewhere.
You're listening to Jeremy Shannon, 102.5.
Love me.
Hey, how's that?
There you go. No, never mind. I don't like that one.
I couldn't care less what you think or say.
Jeez, is that the only guy on the radio? Who is that?
That's Jeremy Shane. He's everywhere nowadays. Ooh, I like this one. Do you?
Yeah, leave it there.
Watch for the Cobalt Project by Jeremy Shane at jeremyshanemusic.com.
This is how it's gonna go. I'm leaving today. There's nothing you can do, and nothing left to say.
Like, has your cell phone or iPod ever totally run out of battery before? Maybe you're somewhere without power, like fishing, camping, or the beach. Now you can have all the power you need. The K3 Charger by Kinesis Industries uses wind and sun to charge your devices anytime, day or night. Use the wind and sun to store up charging power or charge your device right on the spot. Available now for $99.95 at www.kinesisindustries.com. That's Kinesis, Kinesis, Industries.com. Like, go there, totally.
Greenback is your neighborhood lender for auto title loans. We offer fast and easy cash title loans for cars, trucks, and motorcycles. Keep your car with title loans from $100 to $50,000. There are no year or mileage limits at Greenback, and we offer the cheapest rates in Arizona, guaranteed. For more information, visit greenbacktitleloans.com or call 480-926-6666.
Commander Marty Logan here from the Top Gun Seminars. What I've learned over the years is that the most successful people in life have coaches to guide them along their chosen path. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Tony Stewart, Tom Hopkins, Kathy Colby all had coaches, whether it was their father, someone else's father, or another person who helped them to shape their desires into an achievable path to success with a system of accountability where quitting was the only way to fail. Each of these people had someone who didn't see them as they first were, but as the person inside they knew they could easily become. Financial coaching can be the single addition you need to become financially independent. Call the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation now for your free consultation. 1-866-966-9420. That toll-free number again is 1-866-966-9420. Or visit us on the web at www.unlockyourwealth.com.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You are listening to Unlock Your Wealth Radio. I am your purveyor of prosperity, Heather Wagenhals, and I am joined today by estate planning attorney Mark Powell, and we were talking about Uncle Sam, and mostly he's not my favorite relative. I don't know about you, Mark.
No, there are many other uncles and cousins that I prefer to spend a dinner with.
Me too. Now, we were talking through the break about estate tax exemptions and the complexity of planning that has to be involved in that. Is that something that we should be concerned about?
Absolutely. I think when I started practicing law in estate planning, which was 16 or almost 17 years ago, a person could leave only about $650,000 to family members before we started looking at an estate tax. And that pretty quickly started to jump up and hit $1 million and then ratcheted up. And I think everybody is surprised for the first time since we've had an estate tax like this one. You can now pass more than $5 million to your beneficiaries before you worry about an estate tax. Most of the trusts that we have or that we see these days were follow a structure that came about in the mid-'80s when we finally got an unlimited marital deduction. So you could, if you were married, you had the amount that you could leave to anybody, which, let's just say was at $650,000. And then everything else got taxed unless you left it to your spouse. And so the trust structure that we use today is most likely an AB or an ABC trust, which just means we're dividing the assets up into the amount that we could protect from the estate tax with everything else going to a spouse. And these days with $5 million a person, and it's a little more than $5 million, but with the $5 million, some of that complexity may not be necessary. It may be much easier to have a trust that simply says, this is what I want to happen with my assets. And maybe we don't need to be so specific or lock ourselves down into these different trusts because of the old tax rules.
So
of course, these days,
go ahead.
We don't know if the $5 million is going to be permanent. Right now, we all think it's permanent, but it's only as permanent, I think, until we get the next Congress in session. Who knows whether it's permanent beyond that?
Yes. Again, those are some other distant relatives I'm not fans of. So, when it comes to estate planning in general, what are the minimum things that we need to have in place?
The first thing I would say is you need to make sure that you have a solid set of instructions in the most efficient document. And depending on where you live and what the probate code and court system is where you are, it may be that a trust, a living trust, also known as a revocable trust, makes the most sense because when you put your instructions into those kind of trusts, you don't worry about needing a court to approve it or a court to give you authority to do it. You're just able to go and as quickly as you can carry out these sets of instructions. So I think we always start there, but we don't stop there because even if we make a trust or primary estate planning document, guardianship and the decision of who is going to take care of young kids, if you have them, everybody expects those designations to be in your will. So even though we may have an estate plan that's trust-based, we probably still need a will. If nothing else, to make sure that if we forget an asset, we've got an instruction that says to be governed by our trust. But the will also has guardian designations for young kids, and it includes nominations of if a court ever has to appoint somebody to take care of you or to take care of assets, then you've nominated who's going to have those jobs. And we hope not to leave it up to the court like that. So even though we have those nominations, we keep going with a healthcare directive to make sure that we know who is going to make healthcare decisions if I can't, for example, and who's going to make all the other financial decisions that somebody would have to make. Usually those include retirement plan instructions, investments through life insurance, or beneficiary designations through life insurance. There's always something where we need a separate document that says, here's who's entitled to make those decisions for me. So I think at a minimum, you end up with probably a trust and a will, a healthcare directive, power of attorney for assets, the nominations, so that if the court ever has to get involved, we know who's supposed to get involved. And then we want to wrap all that up with making sure that we've told everybody who has physical custody of an asset that they should follow the instructions given by the trustee so that we actually transfer assets into the trust and get it controlled by the trustee.
So when it comes to selecting trustees and your nominees for decisions, that's kind of a personal decision, but, it's kind of funny. My husband always jokes about things. He's like, I want an autopsy when I die, because he's always thinking that somebody that might have a vested interest in his passing might have, hastened his demise. He watches too many of those crime shows is what he does, so is part of the problem. But how do we make those selections? I mean, that's a legitimate question, isn't it?
It's the most important decision that you have to make. My mom, when we first did her documents, said in her healthcare directives, you've got two choices. Usually the choice is do everything you can to keep me alive no matter what, or keep me out of pain, but really I don't want extraordinary kind of treatments. And her first one that I remember started out with, well, give me those treatments for 6 weeks, and let's make sure that. Well, now I think we're up to about 6 months. It's longer as time goes by.
Well, technology is improving, right?
Exactly. And so I think it's the most important thing in the world. People very quickly will say, I'll let my oldest kid do it, or let my kids do it together, or they sort of jump at the people who are going to get these jobs. But I think it's probably the most crucial decision you make, because these jobs are not always easy jobs, and you want to make sure that you've thought through. You've given a job to somebody who's going to be up to it and is going to be conscientious about it. Sort of that gut reaction of, I'll let my oldest do it, or let them do it together, or even if we pick a friend or somebody that we think will be better for some reason, there's always this question of, well, should we compensate them? And so many times the gut reaction is, no, they'll do they'll do this because they love me. They'll do this because they're part of my family. But I can promise you that 8 a.m., the morning after they get the call at midnight, with some beneficiary saying, I need you to bail me out, because they will say, I want to compensate it. And so we always want to make sure we're picking conscientious people and that we're setting up a system where they'll be inclined to keep doing it as long as necessary.
So is it unrealistic to compensate people, or should you not compensate people, or is that like a because
Well,
you kind of wonder what the vested interest is then.
yeah, it is a tricky one. You know that if you hired a trust company or a bank to do this, they would definitely charge you, and they've got fee schedules that vary depending on the assets that you've got. But you sometimes think that the most independent people, the people who really don't have an emotional interest in whatever the outcome is, may be the best ones to sit back and look at, we've got this tax issue coming up, or this issue with an insurance company, or this issue with a retirement plan. And you might get sort of a more level-headed kind of analysis of what's going on. And those folks, I think, if you really, sometimes you get what you pay for, and you want to make sure that you're getting somebody's best interest, and you're getting somebody's attention, and you're getting somebody's best judgment about what's going to happen. So I always default to we should allow for compensation, especially if we're looking for somebody who isn't a beneficiary, isn't in the family.
Well, this has been a wonderful time together learning about these areas of estate planning that we may not consider right out of a gate, or we're kind of trusting of people and just figure that it'll take care of itself, or I don't want to talk about it because that's going to make me feel bad and I don't want to think about dying and all of that stuff. But these are things that we really need to start taking a look at, and I'm grateful for your time today to help shed some light on the topic. So if folks want more information or want to be able to get a hold of you and get more good stuff like what you shared with us on the show, how can folks get a hold of you?
Well, the best place to go is online to my website. It's called practicalplans.com. And you'll find there information that talks about some of the objectives of estate planning and the ways to get there, as well as ways to proceed, to start doing planning and to get it checked off the list and actually get it in place as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Yay, because peace of mind is around the corner once you get that taken care of.
Once you get started, it's there.
Yes. Well, again, thanks so much for your time today, Mark. And for those of you who are driving around without a pencil, never fear, unlockyourwealthradio.com is here. And if you visit Mark's show page, you can get all the linky links to practical plans and good stuff from Mark. Stay tuned for more. Unlock Your Wealth Radio will be right back with more coming up after this.
Commander Marty Logan here from the Top Gun Seminars. What I've learned over the years is that the most successful people in life have coaches to guide them along their chosen path. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Tony Stewart, Tom Hopkins, Kathy Colby all had coaches. Whether it was their father, someone else's father, or another person who helped them to shape their desires into an achievable path to success with a system of accountability where quitting was the only way to fail. Each of these people had someone who didn't see them as they first were, but as the person inside they knew they could easily become. Financial coaching can be the single addition you need to become financially independent. Call the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation now for your free consultation. 1-866-966-9420. That toll-free number again is 1-866-966-9420. Or visit us on the web at www.unlockyourwealth.com.
Like, has your cell phone or iPod ever totally run out of battery before? Maybe you're somewhere without power, like fishing, camping, or the beach. Now you can have all the power you need. The K3 Charger by Kinesis Industries uses wind and sun to charge your devices anytime, day or night. Use the wind and sun to store up charging power or charge your device right on the spot. Available now for $99.95 at www.kinesisindustries.com. That's Kinesis, Kinesis, industries.com. Like, go there, totally.
Greenback is your neighborhood lender for auto title loans. We offer fast and easy cash title loans for cars, trucks, and motorcycles. Keep your car with title loans from $100 to $50,000. There are no year or mileage limits at Greenback, and we offer the cheapest rates in Arizona, guaranteed. For more information, visit greenbacktitleloans.com or call 480-926-6666.
Hey, I'm over here.
Hey, roll up the windows. I'm going to turn on the radio.
This stuff sucks. Change it.
Yeah, it does. There's got to be something decent on here somewhere.
You're listening to Jeremy Share, 102.5.
Love me.
Hey, how's that?
There you go. No, never mind. I don't like that one.
Baby, I couldn't care less what you think or say.
Jeez, is that the only guy on the radio? Who is that?
That's Jeremy Shane. He's everywhere nowadays.
Casting the very
Ooh,
first stone.
I like this one. Do you?
Feel your
Yeah,
eyes
leave it there.
upon me.
Watch for the Cover Project by Jeremy Shane at jeremyshanemusic.com.
This is how it's gonna go. I'm leaving today. There's nothing you can do, and nothing left to say.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You're listening to Unlock Your Wealth Radio. I am she, your purveyor of prosperity, Heather Wagenhals, bringing your moolah info, your moolah message
Yeah.
of prosperity, health, and wellness.
Yeah.
So, helping me do that is Mr. Jeremy
Yeah.
Shane. Jeremy Shane Murphy, our country music sensation, with his fabulous song, It Ain't Me, out on the airways, in case you wanted to know. And, that would be at jeremyshanemusic.com, in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
You don't do that the whole song, do you?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble. No, I've heard it, and he doesn't. So, anyway, I hate to ask you this next question because I'm afraid you're going to give me a yeah. So I'm not going to ask you what time it is. I'm just going to tell you it's time for the keys to riches.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me. Where's the pocket audience? You're driving me nuts with something. If it's not the pocket audience, it's yeah, or whatever. So the reason why you're all here, how to get your money mind right, it's going to happen right now because the keys to riches is a baker's dozen of financial concepts that not only teach you how to think like the rich and be in control of your own money, it also gives you specific techniques to create or fix your credit, eliminate debt, save and invest, building wealth, all while transforming your current financial habits into healthy money management skills. And here we are, key 11. We are almost through with this season. And this is our forget the perfection principle key. And this is so important because think about, for those of you that are with us from the beginning of the season or beyond, but specifically those of you just joined us and this is your first season with us going through your money transformation, and you have done all of the steps right, and then you goof up once, you fall off the wagon. You know, it happens. Life happens. We make mistakes. Like we discussed, brain-based financial literacy says that you need to know that your behavior is subconscious. And so we can be as vigilant as we can consciously, but sometimes those little folks running around inside of our head, specifically Now Me and Logic Larry and the Magnificent Seven, that tend to terrorize us sometimes. And we make mistakes, but holding ourselves to some rigid memory of having that frustration or anger or disappointment at ourselves or others, if others have perpetuated our financial woes, doesn't help the healing. And for you, what we need to do is focus on the progress of the process. And we need to be able to learn how to forgive ourselves. We can, it is possible, keep the meaning of the message from whatever mistake we made. But we can let go of the pain and the emotion and the anguish and the resentment. Simply by reframing it, perhaps apologies are necessary, perhaps asking for forgiveness is necessary. But one of the greatest things is that forgiveness is for you. So even if you don't address the person and ask for forgiveness, the mere process of it is very cathartic for you, especially, like if you're dealing with reconciling issues with people that have passed on. You can't even go to them anyway if you wanted to. So wouldn't it be great if you could just have a very cathartic process where you could go through and figure out, what it is that caused the issue, stay away from the blame, but identify what the issue is, look at what went wrong, look at what went right, and take the meaning of the message, the purpose for this learning event, if you will, and carry that forth, but let go and discharge that energy. One of the things about the body that is so amazing is our ability to maintain what we call homeostasis, and that's like all systems functioning normally. And we work very hard to get back to that. However, when we have issues where we hold pain or resentment or any kind of negative feeling or emotion, it resides in our body if we don't let it go. And it causes dis-ease, like where the word disease comes from. It causes dis-ease, and it starts debilitating you. And your body will work really hard to maintain homeostasis, but at some point, your body gets tired, and then it starts to break down as a result of all this negativity. And so not only is your wealth in jeopardy, but your health. And all the money in the world can't buy you good health if you are harboring negative emotions and not learning from past mistakes and moving forward, but limiting your beliefs as a result of them. So that's what this week's key is all about, is about focusing on the progress of the process and remembering that forgiveness is for you. So for this week's key statement, key affirmation, and key action item, please visit our website at unlockyourwealthradio.com and click on the This Week's Key tab. And for more in-depth interviews with money experts, strategies, and members-only tools to fix your credit, get out of debt, and have more money and happiness, do what other savvy listeners have and visit unlockyourwealthradio.com, where you go to get your money mind right so your wealth and happiness will follow. I'm Heather Wagenhals for Unlock Your Wealth Radio.
And I'm Jeremy Shane for the same.
So go out and unlock your wealth today.
UnlockYourWealthRadio.com is produced by Shane Murphy. UnlockYourWealthRadio.com and its affiliates are copyrighted 2013 with all rights reserved. For more information on the Keys to Riches Financial Wellness Series, please visit our website at www.unlockyourwealth.com.